Well, hey, good morning, everybody. How are we doing today?
Good morning.
Good
Yeah.
morning. Lovely day.
Hello. Hello,
Oh,
everyone.
hello. Best day ever. Excited to see everybody today. Oh, good to
Yeah,
see
nice to
everyone.
meet you.
Yes, good to see you. So great to see everybody in the chat. I see Aaron, I see Daniel, Marcus over on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Jack,
Hello,
Mark.
Marcus.
Great seeing everybody. Jason's there. Holy cow. Prachi's even got questions already in the queue. Excited for this one. But before we dive into like our big topic of the day, let's kind of go around and do some introductions. All right. So Arthur, welcome. You are our guest. This is your first time on the show. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Nice to meet you all, and thanks for the invite. Yeah, I'm Artur Koning. I'm based in Cologne, Germany, and yeah, I'm founder and CEO of Platform Impulse GmbH. It's a small specialized consultancy in Fabric and Power BI. We are 5 people, and one of them, Marcus, is also watching. Hello,
Ah.
Marcus. So you have two of us live now. Yeah, and we are like also early adapters of new stuff. Also try to be ahead of the wave as like small and specialized consultants. And yeah, one of my personal focus topic is everything. So in fabric management and monitoring stuff. So or stuff you can do with the API with some yeah tweaks to get useful stuff out. I of course can also tell you later how I got there and how I yeah how I found this specialization, because nobody is like born and said, yeah, fabric monitoring, it's the best thing ever.
No.
I agree.
No, nobody
But
started off in fifth grade. It was like, you know what? When I grow up, fabric monitoring manager right here, right? That's not a bad thing, right?
I'm
So,
going to
yeah.
see into the future, and there's going to be this thing called fabric, and I'm going to monitor that thing like nobody's
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, but for real, when somebody would told me like 5 years ago when I was doing this for Power BI with all
Right.
the things necessary to API and some Azure apps and blobs, some even more tricks, some data flows that doesn't refresh well, and anyone would told me you can have it everything in one platform. You don't have to waiting to get some workspace in Azure or something, or have like a very slow refresh, then I would say, oh, fantastic, but
That was a
this can't be
dream,
true.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no way that was ever gonna happen. They
yeah,
told us, nope, you're gonna have to deal with these tokens forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Microsoft watched all these efforts and they said, yes, we can do Fabric.
Mark Walter wanted to be a pilot, but then data came along. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So actually, that's a great question for the chat. Hey, thank you guys for joining us. It helps so much on regardless of whatever platform you're joining us from. If the more you comment, the more the conversation is. So leave it. Let us know in chat what it was you wanted to be when you grow up. When you were a kid, would love to hear from you. What your thoughts were. Oh, a spy, Christina. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
I
uh,
wanted to program video games actually, but
Really? Oh,
yeah.
that's
then yeah,
awesome.
but then I noticed, okay, it's video games. You don't earn so much so early, and to effort all the studies, I just starting with some also IT, but some serious IT stuff where you earn money.
It's true.
Even if, of course, you can earn money in video games, but I think it's a long way to, and all these indie studios and all the smaller ones,
It's a
yeah,
lot of
hard
who
to
you
get in.
know. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too far down these rabbit holes, Jared, do you want to introduce yourself as well, just to let everyone know who you are?
Oh, fine. Hi, Jared. I'm back here for another week because Chris said it was okay for me to be back here. Um, I'm the resident data bard here, so where everybody else wanted to be cool things like spies and whatnot, I wanted to be an actor, and now I'm here doing data stuff. I still like adding in the acting stuff. I actually just started rehearsals for my next show, so big exciting stuff coming there. And, but love data, love fabric, love data engineering and helping people move data where they need it to be. It's a good time.
Awesome. Christina, you want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, so I am a solution architect over at P3 Adaptive. Been there for officially a year now, and I just love taking. I like to say I take, data questions and turn them into business answers. So that's kind of my cup of tea, helping people get something out of the data that they're looking at, all the time. So yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. And for those of you who maybe you don't know, because you're joining because Arthur and Jared and Christina are here. Um, my name's Chris Wagner. I run the channel here. I'll say I don't really remember exactly what I wanted to be when I was a kid. I do remember that my parents' biggest hope for me was potentially a janitor at a factory was what they had hoped for me because
What,
uh,
Chris?
because
Were you that
in
bad of a
third
kid?
grade, I came home from school one day. I said, "You know what, Mom, Dad? I've been thinking about this really seriously for a couple weeks now, and I'm just done with this whole reading thing. I don't see it having legs. I don't see like there's a future in reading. I'm just gonna not read anymore." And they went, "Oh, he's thought this through. Like like I
Uh-oh.
laid out like a map of how to exist without reading." And they're like, "All right, well, you could be a janitor."
Before ChatGPT, and now.
So thankfully I in fifth grade I discovered the Chronicles of Narnia, and well, then forget it. All I could do was read from then on out. So dodged the whole janitor thing. Okay, all right.
That's gonna be your memoirs from janitor to data god. Story of Chris Wagner.
The Chronicles of Chris.
Yes, that's it. Chronicles of Chris.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, holy cow! I my parents had their hands filled with me. That was very lucky that they just stuck with it. Best broom ever. Okay, all right. We've done a lot of kind of chit chatting, jibber jabbing type stuff here. Arthur, you're here about a topic that I know is near and dear to my heart, as well as Christina's and Jared's. Do you want to introduce what we're talking about today?
Yeah, I'm talking about monitoring in Fabric. So yeah, how you control all these assets in your, or control or get insights into your assets in Fabric to find a more positive formal way of talking about monitoring, because it is essential. And yeah, I introduced the different technologies that are there, or some or the existing tools that you can use for to monitor, to have an overview of your assets in Fabric. As I already told, I can talk 3 hours about everything, and I will try to fit in this 1 hour. It's fine. It's an will be an overview, but not as not very superficial. So of course we can dive into all these different tools and scripts and reports that are placed. I just have only a few slides for introduction.
All right, well, let's head over and let's introduce your slides.
Yeah, this is like the Peter Drucker said, you can't manage what you don't measure. This is something understandable to everyone. But for me, when it comes to Fabric monitoring, Mark Leifeld was an MVP from the Netherlands. He found a much better explanation for this, like better to allow in a controlled manner than to prohibit in an uncontrolled manner. So
hang on, grab a screenshot of that one. That is a good one. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark will be
That's
very
deep.
happy about it to be captured by a data god. Because this is something I think it's really true. Because when you think governance is about setting borders or just forbidding people to do something, people will find ways. They will at least all this Excel hell stuff and all this shadow IT is resulting from some from unrealistic governance. Just forbid and say okay, we don't see anything, so nothing there for IT governance, but the people are still need to do their work, and that's why I think Fabric is such a great thing because it's one platform and people can do a lot of stuff. So when I start with Fabric projects, always the people ask me, okay, but isn't it too much for the business people to being able to create notebooks, being able to creating some custom queries and shut down our tenant? Uh, can happen. Um,
Never.
and that's why you need monitoring, but uh, Fabric allows you to to have some communication with actually inside some inside based communication, because the admins and the pros can watch what the people are doing there. And this was my motivation, or the motivation of people who pay me for doing all this, like this, to create some monitoring so you have an overview and hear from very the statements. Now I'm also deep in tech already, with this slide, like to have a big picture of the monitoring stack that is present now in Fabric, or for me the most essential parts. It's already like a good practice, because FURM, and we will definitely focus on this in this talk too. FURM is FURM, like Fabric Unified Admin Monitoring. It's a community project of two Microsoft Cloud architects. Um, and they created this in their spare time first, and then now it's like more official. Also not a product of Microsoft, but a project that is supported, like Semantic Link, that is also like emerged this way. And Fiume has the goal to bring lots of monitoring parts together, and actually replaced my previous monitoring work that I did before, because of course before Form emerged, I used Azure Functions, for example, to get the data from APIs and to store it in Azure Blob or Azure Data Lake, and then use it in Power BI. Now it's integrated in Fabric, and we will see in the Lakehouse what's integrated. This is like now the core ability. But besides Fume, there is still the Capacity Matrix app. It's a pre-built app in Fabric.
Well, can I pause you for a second here?
Yeah.
And
of
can we go
course.
back to that?
Fantastic.
One of the things that I absolutely love about FWAM and what you're showcasing and highlighting here is that now all of the tools that we need to properly manage Fabric exist inside of Fabric. And that to me says an incredible thing, not just about the service, but about the end-to-end nature of what is now possible inside of Fabric, right? You know, like before it was, oh, hey, you could monitor Power BI, but you needed, Azure DB, and you needed some functions, and you needed like some pipeline. You needed all these Azure things. So you'd have to spend more money to monitor that thing that you were buying and managing as it was. And you would have to spend even implementing that, you took a great deal of time. Now, if all of those tools and capabilities exist 100% inside of Fabric, I think you need a service principal.
Yeah, so
right?
And an Azure Key Vault, if you want to use everything, it's better to have an Azure Key Vault. You can do without. But service principle, yes, this is like you can do it, but even without a service principle, you can use parts of FURM.
Yeah.
I know from one real project where we still struggle to get the service principle. So it's not always about the money. It's often it's about structures in enterprise structures, like you have to wait to get some credentials to get a service principle. But I already can still use a lot of Form, even with my account. Like it's only focused on the things I can see or my peers can see, but it's still worth it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm going to say I the 3 times I started to use and implement FWAM, I got 45 seconds into it, and then I got pulled off and like onto something that like completely took my focus for more than a week. And so I've like it's 3 attempts, and it is not valid attempts at trying to use FWAM, because you have to give something more than 45 seconds. Like that's not a valid thing, right?
Even if it's very fast to install, this is one of the real fantastic things about FWAM.
Yeah. Jared or Christina, have you guys had a chance to try FWAM at all?
So I tried implementing it. I had a similar situation, Chris, where I had about 2 hours that I could do this. And so I tried it and I couldn't get it to work in those 2 hours. So I had to. Okay. But I also did not own that tenant. So I was very much trying to get it to work with a service principal account. And it just ran into some hiccups. So I'm curious how it would work on my own tenant or one where I am a tenant admin.
So I know for a fact I sent this to one of our Mr. Data Pro. I don't know, Marcus or do. I sent it to him. It was 52 minutes later. He goes, "This is unbelievable. I have it installed at our tenant. I have it installed at a client tenant." And that was 52 minutes in it looking at it. So if you have the right credentials and you have the right access, like this is not because it's all inside of Fabric, it is not a huge lift to get this up and running. So
it builds itself, right? That's kind of the coolest part. It's just that JSON script that creates all these artifacts automatically. That blew my mind. It's like, whoa.
It even got easier over time. So maybe you should give it another try, Christina, because in the first version, you still need to download a JSON, a notebook, and to create the connections by yourself. In the newest version, it's just a notebook.
Really?
Just a notebook and run. And
wow. I didn't know that. The 3
live.
attempts I had, it was okay. I download the JSON, I got the notebook, and then I immediately got pulled off. And I'm like, well, okay, that's not valid.
Got even easier. So when you have it, I think they also change some stuff from time to time. Deploy FWAM Basic Gen 2. And this is a notebook. And it also does like refreshes when I already have FWAM in place. So I'm not even really afraid to do it again, right? This is my FWAM Basic workspace, and I'm just brave enough to when it breaks, the old artifacts are there. So it's not really. I think even the last version, it might be even new here, because this Gen 2 notebook, I don't notice this name. It was created, so I didn't had this very new notebook. And it does everything for you, right? So when you deploy FWAM the first time, then when you have these connections, then you have to rename the connections that are named here.
Okay.
Very easy to explain, but when you didn't have it, then nothing here. You wouldn't have to do anything. But service principal, add in these connections, and this is basically the only other stuff that you have to do when you already, like me, have these connections in place. So you're going to manage connections and gateways. And this might be a problem when you're not like the super admin of the tenant. You might not see this. Then you have to ask your admin to, allow you to use them. But there is also a video on the Fume starting page how to create them when you're doing it for the first time. And here is the service principal involved. But in a real world environment, also my admin could do it for me and just allow me to use this connection. So I don't have to know the service principal credentials.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So this is why I want to try it on my own
Yeah.
tenant, is because I'm
Yeah.
both the service, I'm both the tenant admin, and I have the ability to make the service principal
because
and get the keys.
And my because I was early adapter of Fume after I've seen about I think it was October 24 in Hanau at the SQL conference. They presented it for the first time.
Nice.
And that's why even the names of my connections are, but they are okay. PBI Service API Admin, it's the one I already have. Okay, so it's just when I want to update, I just run it and then I expect it to work. But when you even at the client, when I first did the first rollout of it, everything worked. So when I'm missing some credentials, then it's not all the data is loaded, but it was very easy, like just a notebook and not even to create the lake house or something. It's
Nice.
not even necessary anymore.
Hey,
So
Arthur, do you know if
yeah.
this runs with pure Python or does it use the Spark engine?
Ooh, good question. Because I'm not realizing only with Spark, because you have some Spark functions here.
Okay.
So
Anytime you want to write to a lake
yeah,
house, I think
when
you use
I would
Spark.
say, would it be necessary or could it run on Python only? I think yes, because when you have a small, especially when you have a small tenant like mine, because Spark is more a performance issue, but you have all this like the functions like MS Spark utils to get some credentials. So there would be definitely some coding stuff to make it run on native Python. And even in a big tenant, it's not so consuming. So we have it running at a customer with like about 5,000 workspaces. It's okay. It's like a daily job, and it's not like the biggest job in the tenant. It's normal. It doesn't even really matter. It's not on on the list like a top consuming job or something. Air connection already exists. That's nice. So it even gets the ID. I don't have to care about the IDs. And now here redeploys everything or checks if there are any updates. So you can just run it and grab a coffee and do something else. So it's getting easier and easier to use it. Afterwards, of course, to get the data, you have this master pipeline you can start and use. This is something, something interesting. Maybe also worth looking, because it was also renamed several times. So now this load form data is the master, but it's also in a how-to or in a FAQ in GitHub, so you will find it. And I think when I'm watching while deploying, it's interesting. But everything that you see here are actually API calls to get certain objects in Fabric. So you start with get Fabric items.
Wait
yeah.
a minute. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, of course. We will not. It's your job to keep me from monologues about code and details.
And maybe you hit it, and I blinked, and I was thinking about like this install, and you just deployed a notebook, but this isn't a notebook. This is a pipeline. Did you
Yeah.
have to deploy this, or where did this
No,
come from?
It's deployed by this notebook. So actually, while this notebook runs, it gets this all this stuff from GitHub, from this repo here of Gellert. And all the artifacts are created by this notebook. This is the fantastic stuff. It's really like install, like you install something on Windows.
So then, I say this because at least I'm a
Yeah.
little bit newer to looking at Foom because I haven't had the chance to get
Mhm.
hands on it. Like, what all sorts of objects is it creating when it's running this
Yeah.
notebook? Like, so we've got
Yeah.
notebook, use pipeline. What else is it able to
Lakehouse.
build here?
So even this Firm backup lakehouse and config lakehouse and yeah, all this stuff is new, and also the reports and the semantic models. So everything you see here is created by this notebook. There are no artifacts that I had to create by myself besides this deployment. Maybe I should have shown it in a blank workspace. It would be more credible. Obviously, something I can do quite quick. So just it's
I mean, so when
yeah.
when we're talking Foom here, like this is like a full. I mean, it's almost like a full warehousing or data processing solution. I mean, it's got
Yes.
your initial data collection points. It's got your processes for transforming data for what you need for the reports, and it's got prepackaged
Yeah.
reports in
Yeah.
there as well
Yeah.
for feeding off of it. So it's full
pretty
comprehensive.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can do almost everything. So in the start, I think when Christina started to use it, there were you had to create the first lake house by your own. You had
Yeah.
to create the connections. And I think that's it. And I think to connect the notebook to the lake house and to place the JSON in the lake house, there have been some more steps, but this was like a blank workspace. And I think I maybe, because it's just an F2, I will check if this already done. Yes. Form basic has
Nice.
been successfully deployed, but now I can just repeat it here and to show you that it's already no magic, but reality that's
Wizardry?
okay.
Yeah.
PBI service API admin. I think it is the thing I already used, and now I just can use run all here. In this form demo, it was blank workspace, so we can definitely see what's new. Everything that it creates will be new because there in this workspace, like I already have here, which was filled up with stuff like form basic. There are some artifacts. I think they're old from
Shut
previous
up.
versions.
Oh wait, that's the other one.
Yeah.
I thought they were all created already. I'm like, you're
No,
moving
no,
fast
no.
here. So let's recap. You have
Yes.
we are installing Fuam Basic that has
Yeah.
no cost. It's all available on Git.
Mhm.
You to do so, you created a new workspace.
Yes.
You
And
imported the notebook that was
Yeah.
from Git. You're going to take advantage of a gateway connection to the Fabric service over a service principal that has admin access to the APIs, right? So
Yes.
you're going to use a gateway that's,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, you're going to
Connections. Yes.
yeah, you're going to use a gateway and a
Yeah.
service principal. So you'd have to have
Yeah.
those things in place. But other than that, you're
Yeah.
just importing this notebook in and then
Yeah.
running it from here.
Yeah. Now I have to rerun it because it's just an F2, so it hit the Spark
Yeah.
rate limit, but it's not like a problem. And now I switched it to the trial and
Okay.
just rerun it again because of using the other notebook. I think it has to cool down a little bit
Sure.
of using Spark, but it's because it's an F2 and not like a bigger capacity. It's nothing that happens on a daily basis, but yeah, it's you already see it's already created the config lakehouse. It's still too big. Okay, then maybe we can do it at the end, or otherwise then you have to trust me. But
All right.
this is like the Spark limits. So this blank workspace, it's just created the lakehouse, and now have to wait a little bit. But this Fume Basic, so everything was created here over time. Also the pre-packed reports and semantic models and even this environment with some useful libraries that you can use.
So this is why Mim Data Monkey was asking about
Yeah,
Python,
yeah.
right?
So for small capacities, it's definitely a use case.
Yeah,
But Spark is also like a comfort,
right.
offers you a lot of comfort. So okay.
Now
It's tough.
I want to get into seeing more of what's there, because I think that's going to justify a lot of, well, frankly,
Mm.
it could potentially justify like an F8 straight out the bat if you look, or higher if you look at the cost it would take to implement any of these other solutions or
Yeah.
develop it. You might as well go to an F64, right? Because that stuff's expensive to build out. So to me, you just have to be aware of it. It's not the end of the world, though. But I was looking through some of the documentation and comments on this, and I saw a comment from Adam Saxton with a warning on this, because FWAM is using some APIs that are not officially supported by Microsoft. So there is a potential for a breakage if you're using FWAM as your sole source for management.
Yeah, so I think
Right.
the biggest problem in this is actually this resource usage.
Mm-hmm.
Because this resource usage, it's a Fabric Capacity Matrix app. It's a
Yeah.
pre-built app here that you can get from the store, and it has some information that are not delivered through the official APIs by now.
Yep.
Especially the very interesting stuff, of course, the CU consumption.
Right.
Yeah, and CU consumption per item.
Right.
And this is something, it was even around there before, even in Power BI Premium. It existed before Fabric, and it's a direct query report here. So there are definitely, this is a small capacity, so it's quite okay, but even this lags, because it's really not fun to use it to analyze stuff. And you always have the 14 days in the past. So, and this is something you cannot get this information through official API by now. Even before Fabric, I used like some tricks to get like this through a data flow to like Azure Analysis Services connection in import mode. It worked, but it needed support by me. And this is why Kevin and Gellert, who created Fume, also said, okay, to use this, there is like a Fume extended, or not extended, but Fume Professional or Fume Enterprise version. It was there before FabCon. Like after FabCon, it's also free to have. But before FabCon, they also always said, yeah, it's a little bit shaky, so you need support from us to use this.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
this was about this enterprise version. After FabCon, they even released these components to the public because they are not like product managers, they are cloud solution architects. They just cannot do all this support. And it's way too useful to keep it locked. Even, I was using this for 2 years before Fabric because it was useful to get all this information about CU consumption and to have actually a history about CU consumption and not only the 14 days. And it was okay. It was worth the workaround.
Well,
And
and I think Anthony has a good comment here where he's saying, I just don't understand why a full monitoring suite like FWAM is not built into Fabric. It's like buying a car without a dashboard, having to build your own. You're spot on, Anthony. I mean, we've been driving this car we call Power BI or Fabric for like basically a decade now, and just like every once in a while we run out of gas, and like, oh well, we just ran out of gas, or like, whoops, burned up the engine, got to rebuild the engine here, and that's definitively like a gap. And I think to like build on that, what we're talking about is how do you bring more energy to the work that you're doing? And I use NeuroGum in order to do that. It's a great
Chris. I knew that's where this was going.
It's a great pickup. It's
Segues.
got caffeine, L-theanine, B12, and well, all sorts of B vitamins. And it's got no sugar. It's a fantastic thing. Check out the link down below.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
don't have a sponsorship yet, but we're working
yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
how to get started, Chris.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah,
starts with just
going,
one.
going from
Going,
fabric monitoring to
going.
sugar was definitely a highlight.
But the gum is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
I'll
but
echo
just another perspective on Anthony's question, because yes, we are expecting everything to be built in, but it's the same like when you have a software like SAP or even Dynamics, it's even from Microsoft, and there are dashboards also built in this software, right? You could use them, but they are way not as useful as custom analytics in Power BI on top of Fabric, on top of this software. So I think the custom solution always beats the standards. So
Yeah.
otherwise, we would not use any reporting in the last years. And
Well,
yeah.
to that point, I mean, how great is it? I mean, 10 years ago, nothing. Today,
Yeah.
FWAM with you could just deploy with the notebook and a handful of other things. And I think we're really stepping on the lead in hitting on. I mean, it's great. It's super cool to see how easy it is, but I think we got to show people what's there so they can really understand and articulate the value of having this up and running, right?
I just try to rerun here, but yeah. And it's to answer this. Oh, Kevin is watching, one of the creators of you. Fantastic. And not
No
using
pressure.
unofficial APIs. Yeah, only the capacity matrix. As I told, this is not really an API. It's a side channel information you can get with clever scripts. And it's because it's very useful, and that's also the same when you ask Microsoft. They always will focus on features for end users and not for the nerds who are managing this stuff, because they know we are able to build such stuff like FURM and to use stuff like FURM. And when they ask me, okay, will we make like the reports more accessible or visual calculations more useful for business, this will always beat the admin stuff, right? Especially admin stuff that is not like critical. Something like OneLake security, of course, it's business critical to run Fabric in certain scenarios. But monitoring is very useful. I always would fight for monitoring and to keep it on a list. But it's sometimes for something for special target group, and this target group also we can help ourselves. And the business users need more support, and this is why I think it's Microsoft is right with the strategy to focus more on the end user features and to keep some pro stuff to the pros and to the community. Yeah.
I will say though, I have seen multiple customers now who are debating going from another reporting platform into Power BI and into Fabric. They see this report and they go, never mind, because this is what they would have to use to maintain their capacity and take a look at everything. And they're like, you know what, if Microsoft can't even come out with a good report in this platform, why would we move? That is an argument I've heard multiple times.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay, because the decision makers are like the more IT driven or very close to the IT, and when they make the decisions, they say, okay, this is not really like it's not the only one, but okay, all this capacity management stuff, you have to rely on this. So for me, Fabric is something like the need has to come from the business and not from IT, but it's just an opinion, and maybe it's also not aligned with the stuff that Microsoft says. But for me, it replaces Shadow IT. It's like the only real platform for some kind of self-service data management for business. This is what Fabric's in the first place for me. But this
I
is
don't think you're wrong on that. That is Microsoft's approach. I'm just saying I think they do lose customers over
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, and of course they say they're working on a better version to make like a self-service version of this capacity matrix, and also to say there's things happened in the last year, because not only Form is here, but also it has was less present in the public, but something like this workspace monitoring that is now really included in Fabric. This Fabric here, sorry. Fabric workspace monitoring. It's a real time. Sorry, the mouse is racing here. Okay, yeah, the Fabric workspace monitoring is like an auto-deployed event house.
Yeah.
Of course, not perfect because it's one per workspace, and real time also takes some capacity. It's quite, yeah, interesting to use it with an F2. I tried, it works, but you have to, yeah, use with care. But it's also some piece of monitoring that also replaced stuff that you always only could do with Azure before, like this Azure Analytics, Azure Log Analytics, when you had to connect Power BI or Fabric workspaces to Azure, and to have the logs in Azure, and to get the logs from Azure with some custom scripts to Power BI. It was quite a long way. Now it's integrated, and it's also very easy to use when you go into any workspace and just, I think I will not activate it here, but you have this monitoring, and just with one click you get the event house with all this data. Of course, I have something pre-prepped here in this other workspace.
Well, hang on, before we jump over that,
Yeah.
can we go back and look at the FWAM report quick?
Yes. There might be some open report here. No, I want to show this one. No. Check. Have I closed it? FWAM report.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, this has the refreshables, but what I want.
This is all planned. He's just building up suspense.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. This
The
basic
end.
overview, I think it's a good start, because here this is the starting page, which shows, okay, what's FWAM really about, all this ecosystem inside of Fabric.
Arthur, can you zoom in just a smidge or go full screen on this so people can start to like see that?
Try. Yeah. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an overview about workspace users, workspaces, capacities, and items. Everything hold together with this kind of ecosystem. This is
Holy
like
cow.
the starting page, and then you can go there page by page and focus on something that's interesting. Of course, you can go through item overview, for example. It's a little bit, of course, from visual design. Also, Kevin and Geller told me they are not actually information designers, they are architects, but you can build your own reports on top of this with your data. And you already have lots of things here. You can use all these types of artifacts. You can have the different workspaces here and have a great overview and see what's going on in my capacity, and can deep dive deeper on the next pages here. Example, what's interesting is, yeah, it's already named. I can
What's
also
in report usage? No.
Okay, interesting.
I'm sorry.
But,
I don't care about the thing that's a
Yeah.
little broke there. That's fine to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
This implies I can get actual
Yeah.
report views at the tenant
Yeah.
level. Is that right?
Yes, I think so, because you can go here, and when I would be able to filter by capacity, then I would also be able to, let me check this, capacity name. When I just want to see the AF2, it changes. So it's definitely tenant level, because I have all these trials here. And I also can check premium per user. And
All right,
also,
so we're going to take a step back here.
yeah.
All right, so one of the biggest challenges that we've had for the longest time was not just understanding what processes are consuming our reports, but more importantly, what are people actually using, right? Because like, oh, I've got this high cost process that loads a, in theory, high value model that we believe lots of people are viewing, right?
Right.
Because people say
they
they are, or politically that's something that's out there, and maybe you can't shut it down, but being able to like show like, okay, yes, there's 200 people over here consuming stuff, but now you can show that there's 800 people that are consuming things on the other side, right? Like that can really help you at a management level, right? And that's something that we've just never really had before. I'm excited to have that, and I'm excited to also say that we now have Kevin Thomas is going to be joining us,
Ooh.
who is on vacation and is squirreled away with wife and kids, all of a sudden coming off of his vacation because he just loves this topic. And so, Kevin, welcome.
Yeah. Hi,
Thank
Kevin.
you. Thank you very much. Yeah, to just watch the stream, and maybe if you want to have a quick demo with a lot of data, because I have some anonymized data from a customer of mine who is collecting the data since October. I think that could give you a great overview what's available, if you like. It's now a little bit freestyle. Sorry for that.
Yeah. We're playing it fast and loose here. Let's get into it. Let's check it out. You know. Oh yeah, you want to share your screen?
Let me do it.
Did you share your screen?
One second.
I got to get the gif of we're gonna do it live because we're gonna do it live here.
This is where you needed the commercial break here, Chris.
Yes.
You got to save them for the right moment.
All right, let's go over and let's switch to Kevin's screen. Holy cow.
Okay, it's a little bit more than I have.
Yes, so this, for example, is who is they're having around 45,000 monthly active users, around 20 capacities, and for them it's really about tenant monitoring. Yeah, so they are responsible for the whole tenant,
right?
And they want to check what is going on this whole tenant. Yeah, and there we have in this new version, we try to make that as easy as possible. Yeah, so getting started, you start at a tenant overview, yeah, where you can see all the items which are deployed in your whole tenant. And at the top here, we have different usage metrics. Yeah, so for example, the number of consumption activities over time. Yeah, then we have the monthly active users and the CU consumption. And that's something which our customers quite love because they can do proper planning. Yeah, so how much CU did I really take? Yeah, and if you just have 14 days of data available, that's often not enough to really plan into the future. Yeah, here they really see, hey,
right,
we have month over month 5% growth, and this really gives them an overview on what they can see. Yeah, and then we have different views how you can get more into depth. Yeah, so for example, you could see the artifacts by workspace, identify which of my workspaces are using fabric items already. So for example, this customer, they have one capacity where they do their main fabric testing, but the rest is still quite on Power BI and so on. Then we use other things like tenant settings, for example, so that you can have a daily snapshot of the tenant setting, what is enabled, disabled, and at the top you directly can see when something changed. Yeah, so more for audibility, so that you can see everything. Yeah, I will not go through everything because otherwise my wife will kill me if I'm here too long. There are a lot of different views we make available here. So for example, we have a light lineage, I would say, where we connect the reports with the semantic models. So we can also count from which semantic models, how many reports are connected, and how many report views do you have on that? How is the activity growth? So are my users actually using that or not? Yeah, things like that. One thing we use, or which we find quite nice, is something which we call analytical paths. Yeah, and the other idea is that you can go from a very high level to a very low level within a few minutes. Yeah.
Mhm.
To show that, we have here different analytical paths. So let me quickly try to click here. So what
His wife's in the other room. You got 5 minutes.
yeah. So what we have here is an overview across all your capacities. Yeah, so you can scroll here and see the daily and the max utilization on a given day. And these red dots, which you see, are throttling events. Yeah, and what this can help you with to get a feeling how are different capacities behaving. And what you see here is this is since October. Yeah. And when you hover over it, you can get the specific capacity matrix data for that day. Yeah, so you can really get an overview how was the utilization on that day on a certain capacity. And this helps the customers which we tried that with a lot to get a feeling how different capacities are behaving and so on. But let's say you have now such an outlier, so a throttling event. Yeah, so we count the throttling events, show that, and when you now select the single day, you can jump into an outlier analysis. And what this gives you is now filtered on that day, on that capacity, how much CU did a certain item take. Yeah. But what we found out, so we gave that to our customer, and we found out the total CU is not really helpful, because if you don't put it into relation, so how is that item actually behaving, then the number does not tell you something. Yeah. And so what we try to do is automatically calculate something to detect if it's an outlier or not. And what you can do there is by hovering over it, you see this little red line. We need to work on the coloring a little bit there, but this little red line shows you for this item the CU consumption on that day, and you see the whole history of that item. Yeah, and you see this item was not colored here. So what we do is we compare the CU utilization on that day with the average CU utilization and with the standard deviation. And there we calculate an outlier factor. So you can see this is marked, and so this directly identifies an outlier. Yeah, so now you see on that day this item had a very high CU utilization, where normally it's not that high. Yeah, so probably you want to dig into that deeper. And what you can do then, so we are now on the capacity level still. If you now go one level deeper, you can get all the information for this specific item. So that's the second report we built. Yeah, we can then jump in and now get everything. Yeah. So who's the owner?
Cow. I mean, Kevin, just
it's for free. I cannot take any money. Sorry.
Well, this is absolutely fantastic. Kevin, will you come back and do like a full, like, detailed demo walkthrough of this stuff at some point in time?
Yes, I think Gellert will be down to do it as well. So just let me know. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for hopping in, Kevin.
When you're not on vacation. Yeah.
Go back to my wife.
Yes.
Go enjoy yourself.
Yeah, go back to your wife. Don't.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Kevin.
Sorry about that. Back to our regular scheduled programming. Arthur, we went into that stuff, but you were starting to also go into the workspace. We got 5 minutes left. I was kind of hoping we could hop back over and show the workspace monitoring that you were about to showcase for us.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm for a few
Sorry,
time I
threw
was
you
back to
off
form.
there.
No problem. So it's because we know how fascinating monitoring is and how much aspects are there, and
Yeah.
even this, it's not something I to cover everything, but the workspace monitoring is kind of different because yeah, you can just activate it here, and it's a real-time event stream that yeah, just takes very detailed logs from your events. So very detailed on a level that is you can debug single refreshes. You can debug single. Oh, it's actually something existing here. I'm even price, and then yeah, the output of this is yeah, it's a custo query, but a good thing for the if you are very new to custo and to real time, Microsoft provides a template like for log analytics template, and then you just need to change out the connection string, and you can use a first version of this. And there in Power Query there is a custo script that is yeah, would be too big to show on one single screen, but it works, and I just need to find this one. I think it's better invest time to show actually the monitoring
Okay.
stuff, and just to give you an idea about yeah, Fabric workspace monitoring of the coffee fabric stream. Yeah, I just go back to this, and I think here, sorry, just one click more. It's opening. Come on. I think it's
It's still coming.
yeah.
All right. So while you're
Singer.
pulling that up, I just want to throw one comment out there.
Yeah.
That workspace monitoring does it invokes a real-time stream. So that means there's listeners and there's a cost to that.
Yeah.
You need to be very mindful that you don't put, you should not put this on every workspace that you have in your organization. And honestly, I'm going to even say you might even want to temporarily run it when you're trying to troubleshoot a problem, not manage or monitor something, right?
Yeah.
So
and this is something that also the Form guys also said. So why it's not also integrated in Form, it's because it's way too detailed, way too much stress for the tenant, and it's a per workspace by design, because per workspace you get a lot of logs. So it's really like Form is the overview, and you can deep, as Kevin have shown, you can even go to item level to see, okay, this is like a bad actor, but actually to watch this bad actor and to find out, okay, which what's actually the problem in this refresh that consumes a lot of CU. Then you need to activate the workspace monitoring and then look really report per report. This is the way to use it, and it's all. It's well supported by the forum guys, but it's something different. So as you can see here, I run it on March 9th, and here I can see the execution of one semantic model, and I think it's direct lake or direct query. I can see, okay, this is my SQL and my read data, and this is table level, right? You can see how long does it take to load this calendar table, and you can dive really deep into all this stuff. And this is not even the lowest level, because behind this there is also a table where you can just analyze the data and see, okay, this was the problem in during the load. Was it actually the connection to SQL, or was it too complex Power Query, or was it some design in the data model that's problematic? You will find out. So, and you can get here really deep into one model, and you have to find the bottleneck and actually fix all your problems that you had before. And
Wow.
this is what separates these tools from Form, because Form is about bringing stuff together to have the big overview and to dive to item level. And this workspace monitoring goes beyond, like when you need to really watch some items very closely and to understand how they perform. You can even identify which DEX measure is your bottleneck and why it's a problem. So, or you can find people who are exporting to Excel, like to create a matrix of hell and export it to Excel, and this also can lead to lots of CU consumption.
Yeah.
This is more operative stuff.
Oh,
What I
this is
also
just fantastic, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I want to be respectful of everybody's time here. We're
We're
kind of
already
at that
over time,
window. As you said, we could talk for hours. So Arthur, we're gonna have you come back at some point in time and go into more detail on this stuff. But thank you so much. Before we sign out, Arthur, what words of advice would you give to people? Like, how should they get started on this stuff?
Just download the notebook and just run it and install Form and just explore what's in there. So I know the people who are using Form are more the admin guys. You can also watch the tables, and then when you get the idea, okay, that's already inside here. So for me, the start with tables was also easier than the pre-built dashboards, because then I said, okay, everything I can get per API is already here. And then I can use the dashboards like in a more informed way and say, okay, these are the events. I'm quite sure that where they come from. And it was good stuff, but just start. It's much easier than it was like 2 years before.
Awesome. Well, with that, thank you everyone for joining us. I know we're over time, so we're going to wrap this thing up.
Sorry for this.
You guys all have the best day ever, and we will see you next week. Oh, crap. I forgot. Monday, Do You Know Fabric first episode is going to be out, so stay tuned to this channel. We've got our first episode where people be the contestants will be asked questions, they'll be answering them. Play along with the episode. Let us know, would you have won the $100 or not if you were in it? But it's gonna be fantastic. So you guys have the best day ever. Peace.
Yeah, thank you.
Combine strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.